Hi, and welcome to the Imagination Factory. I'm Sarah,
I'm Keith.
and we are continuing on with our refined pencils for page one of the door. So we've gotten through quite a few panels. We've made a lot of progress, and we're continuing to work on them in this episode.
Yeah, so the choice for me is kind of like how much do I modify the way I would normally do this versus because I
Mhm.
have an audience. How do I do this? Like and that's so you know what? I'm just gonna like play around, experiment a little bit. So today I'm using I downloaded like a free pencil kit, um and it's an LP pencil. I don't know the artist,
Huh.
but let me see if I can find it real quickly. Um yeah, so basically sometimes you can find like, oh, Lucas Painador. So
Hmm.
Peinador. I've never heard of that person before. But I was just on Instagram, and you see my algorithm is made for a lot of that kind of stuff, which oh, I have that wrong one. And so anyway, I'm always looking for like new toys to play with.
Mhm.
And this was a pencil kit that he was offering for free. I guess he's going to be launching like a full-on one or something like that. So this is like a premiere of it. Test it out, see if you like it. Um, I find like Photoshop is probably I would say it's in last place when it comes to advancements in regards to like drawing art digitally. I think that there's other programs like Clip Studio or Procreate that are probably more geared towards using
Mhm.
creating comic books digitally and stuff like that, or drawing digitally. But because I trained myself in Photoshop years and years and years ago, and because I've taken a long, long time to like figure out like a workflow that I like, um, I'm very reticent to try and jump to another program, although,
Yeah.
it's not, I've heard such wonderful things about all of those programs that, at this point, um, it's just me being a bit stubborn. I think at the end of the day, I just don't want to take the time to, I have to get something really quickly, realized. my my little remote for
Ah, there you go.
being able to do what's called hotkeys on my little shortcuts on my Cintiq. Anyway, um, so
But I feel like that's always a balance, right? Like
mhm,
when you've learned a program really well, you know the ins and outs, the shortcuts, it's worked well for you, something comes out that's arguably better. But shifting means sort of starting from ground zero and learning all those things again. That's a hard decision to make. I mean, that was similar when, different programs were coming out, and it's like we always did our, TV storyboards in a certain way, but now that's actually not the best way. And the new programs are better. Do we switch? Do we stick to it? How long do you hold on before you finally give in? It's tough. And there's constantly new ones. So deciding which one you want to sort of like plant the flag in is also tricky because you get into a new one and then it's no longer, the leader. It's the technology makes it easier and also a little more complicated sometimes.
yeah, for sure. I mean, there's positives to using Photoshop in the sense of like it's a one-stop shop. Like there's everything you
Sure.
can need in Photoshop
Hmm.
to be able to like create, from pencils onto a full painting, right?
Right.
Um, and then there's all different other aspects of Photoshop. I use a very, very limited amount of it. Like the space I use, I haven't deviated from decades. It's just like
Right.
where whatever capabilities that that there exists for drawing and painting. And even and within that, it's just like very, very narrow, right? So,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, whereas like, let's say, uh, like Clip Studio or Procreate, they've created really, really intuitive uh, medium like
Hmm.
pencils and ink line, like all that brushes, things that would make this feel just slightly more like a natural experience.
Yeah.
Um, the thing for me is at this point, this feels very natural to me. So it's not, I don't draw and I'm not drawing going, man, this is really taking me out of the experience. Although, I mean, sometimes things happen where I'm like, I wish I could do this.
Right.
Uh, and then, I mean, if Photoshop can't do it, I just have to learn where it is, like, trying to make lines a little bit more, uh, the other programs have like, the ability for your handshake to smooth out.
Yes.
And there are
Hmm.
ways to do that within Photoshop, although I don't think they're as good as it would be in Procreate or Clip Studio, but they exist.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do a ton of illustration, but when I do use Procreate, because that was sort of what I learned on, and with being able to do it on an iPad and how intuitive it is. That's one of the features that I do love, where it's like if you're trying to get something straight or perfectly round, it will assist you in that very easily. It was actually my son who was learning it. He was taking classes, and I just kind of sat beside him and listened in. And I was like, oh, okay, good to know. Like now I've learned a few little tricks that I might not have figured out on my own because he was taking a class, and I decided I would just join in on it.
Yeah. And I'm sure once you learn it, it's not that much of a
Mm.
curve of,
Yeah.
but it takes at least a few weeks, I imagine,
Yeah, it is
for,
different, right? No matter what, the controls and the options and everything's in a different place, and it is quite intuitive, but there is always a learning curve with a new program, no matter what.
yeah, exactly. So, um, I, I, I'm okay with the way I have Photoshop. Like
Yeah,
I
if it
for
works.
sure would see, benefit of having some, different kinds of tools to be able to have access to, or to have, um, a program that responds a little bit more closely to what it feels like to traditionally draw.
Right.
Um, but I also, that being said, I pride myself on trying to recreate traditional
Mhm.
illustration in Photoshop. And I have people who will look at my work, books that I've done, and go, "So what kind of ink did you use when you uh,
Yeah.
drew this?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is digital." And they're like, "Really? I can't tell." Right? Like, so that tells me then that I'm doing things in a way that people um, feel isn't digital, and that's
Uh-huh.
kind of
And I
the
would agree with that 100%. Like, when I first saw your work, my assumption was that it was traditionally done. Some people you can tell it's digital, right? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
It's just there's some things have a very digital look to them in the styling, whereas yours does not, which was something I noticed right away. It does look more like it is, pencil on paper, which is impressive because a lot of times you can immediately tell that something is digital.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and as you said, there's nothing wrong with using digital.
No,
It
not
just
at all.
it just or having your work look like it was digitally drawn.
Mhm.
Um, but like there, I guess it just I could make something look more digital if I wanted to,
Mhm.
but it's a skill set to be able to like change or transition depending on the project from something that looks more digital to something that looks more traditionally created. So it's just something you can say that you can do that will, like if you're trying to get a job,
Mhm.
be able to say. hey, yeah, of course, if you want it to look really smooth and kind
Hmm.
of, like sleek in certain ways, that's where digital kind of, I think, gives that real, nice look. But if you want something that has a bit of edge to it, a little rougher looking,
Yes.
feels like, you can see the brush strokes, having that skill to be able to do that too and digitally is always, beneficial.
Absolutely. It does give a totally different tone and feel to the project as well. So depending on who the audience is, what you're trying to convey, um, different aspects are more or less important, right? Like if you're doing a children's book for very young kids, those, gentle, soft, like almost perfect characters can work quite well. Whereas with what we're doing here, we want it to be a little bit more obviously in this style. This fits the
Right.
genre really nicely for the type of work that we're producing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was one of the questions when we were working on Christian County, which is
Mhm.
more younger skewing, not necessarily super young, but young,
Yeah,
like, you
like
know,
kind of middle grade-ish. Yeah.
yeah. Like what was like my question for you was, are you okay with like, I was
Mhm.
making it look more like it was like almost like a newspaper type of,
Yes.
like feel to it, like something that you would Sunday funnies a little bit
Mhm.
like, and you liked it. You liked that. You thought
Absolutely.
it worked for it. And I honestly, I didn't know. I was, it was one of those things where I was trying, sorry, where I was trying to experiment
Mhm.
and see, like, did, does this work for this project, or would
Yeah.
you, want it to be more traditionally, like what you were saying before, where it's a little bit smoother, right?
Well, it's an interesting age group as well, that we were writing for in Cushion County because with it being that middle grade, that is very much that age that wants to be a little more mature than they are, right? So when you're
Mhm.
going for, something that's kind of hitting a kindergartner, grade 1, grade 2, those really, clean, perfect drawings are perfect for that age group, right? It's nice, it's colorful, it's easy to look at. But once you start getting a bit older, they're reading something on their own the first time. It's a comic book, it's cool. It's it's okay for it to almost be aged up in that art style because it makes them feel like they're looking at something that maybe their older sibling would like, right? As opposed
Yeah.
to it being something they stole from their younger sibling. So it's that aspirationalness that actually works really well in that age group to be like, no, this is look like something ripped out of a newspaper. It's like, oh, that's cool, right? This isn't meant for little kids. This is meant for older people. Therefore, I'm into it. So there's always also like kind of the psychology of how different ages look at that kind of stuff and what appeals and what doesn't and why.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And that was where I wasn't 100% sure, right? So it's always, you always kind of want to have that
Mhm.
conversation at some point, like, how do you want this, what, not necessarily like drawn to look like some other artist's work, but more like within your wheelhouse, like, would you like this to be
Yeah, what are we
this?
dialing up and
Yeah.
down within what you produce? Because obviously choosing an artist and saying, "Do something that looks like this completely different artist," is not a great idea for many reasons. But when you say, "I've looked at a variety of your work, and my vision for this falls more in line with this area of your work or this area or a combination," that's a great way to express to an artist what you want while being respectful of what they can slash want to deliver, right? Like if
Yeah.
I were to go to you and be like, this is the style I want, and I show you something that is nothing like anything you've ever done before and not in your style, that's that's not the right artist for that piece of work, right? Because it's not fair
Yeah.
on either side because that's not work that you do or would want to do, and you're going to be judged against something that is kind of improbable at the end of the day. And I think that's where sometimes people get confused when they pick people. It's like you have to make sure that you're looking at who this artist is and what they do and what they enjoy doing, and not
Yeah.
try and force them into something that is just like, well, I could do it, I guess, but no one's ever asked me that before. Um, Unless that's something they really want to try because they're looking to expand their portfolio.
Yeah, there's a sometimes it could be a little bit insulting, I guess, for the artist if
Absolutely.
the person that is like they're kind of like wanting maybe to hire you, but you're they're going, I want you to draw this stuff, and you're like, you've seen what I've done, right? Like you've looked at my
Why would you
because
choose me?
if you haven't looked at my website, then I'm not so sure why um
Yeah.
you're talking to me. Like I would like you to do your due diligence first. Like that's the thing that I think
Hmm.
often people, I get it, this is new to them. Oftentimes they've never worked with artists before, but I would hope you do a bit of if you're
Hmm.
coming to me, I want you to have like seen what I do, to be able to have some questions prepared for like, hey, like this thing you did for, I saw you had a children's book with your mom.
Hmm.
Like how did you like, what um, was your thought behind the way you drew this, or like whatever, just some kind of questions,
Yeah.
and then and to be able to be like, and I liked what you did there. I think that I would like something maybe a little bit more for teenagers, but I see you've done this kind of stuff as well. So is there a way to like use some in the middle, like I would be okay with that, like because
Yeah.
then they're telling me that they've thought about it, they've looked at what I've done, and they're basically uh it's just more or less a matter of going like, would the story
Hmm.
be something I'd be interested in? Would we work together really well? That's probably
Yeah.
number one for me, is like, do I
Yeah.
like the person? Do they like me? And
Yeah.
then what's their timeline? Is it something I can get done in the timeline they're looking for? And then of course their budget. Like how much money do they plan on spending?
Yeah.
That's one of those things too. Like that second one is also, or that other one, the
Hmm.
budget thing is always a bit of a sticky widget too, because it's like, I can work within the amount of money that you want to spend on it. It just means that it's not going to be as many pages as you want, or it's not going to be, maybe we're going to have to cut out color, or something like that. And that's something that, if you, I guess it's maybe like the fear that you're going to like whatever money. Oh, I have 10,000. I'd be like, great. Each page is this amount. And I just changed the amount right then and there as soon as
Yeah.
I found out how much you have, right? Like, like it's one of those things where somebody who's professional, for the most part, should have a standardized page rate, and with variations depending on, complexity of the page, and that's, but for the most part, like I always try to work within somebody's budget to create something. And
Yeah.
then, it's a matter of like, um, if you want something more, then may have to do a fundraiser, may have to wait, like,
Exactly.
so yeah, anyway, I want people to do their due diligence, because it means that you're just not like randomly choosing me because I'm an artist, right?
Exactly. You found me, you looked up, artists in my area. I popped up and you're just like, great, I'm going to contact you without ever looking at what you've done in the past, what your area of expertise is, all that kind of stuff.